What he just added was 3, so it's 9.
What? I don't know if I use it.
Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to use these skills that we have spent so much time working on to solve equations.
Wait.
It's all
Makes
wrong.
sense.
What?
Doesn't it just be 3 negative?
So here's what this is all about. What you're trying to do, your strategy here to solve these equations is to try to get rid of the fractions as quickly as you possibly can. Okay? It's always a game. So the question is, what do you have to multiply both sides of this equation by to get all of the fractions to cancel? So it would be very much the same as if I said x over 3 minus 2x over 4 equals 6. What would you multiply those by to get rid of the 3 and the 4? You multiply by 12, right? Because 3 goes into 12 evenly and 4 goes into 12 evenly. But does that make sense? Okay, so what we're essentially saying then is, what does x minus 3, x plus 3, and x squared minus 9, what do they all go into evenly? Okay, and the way to figure that out is, shouldn't come as a surprise, start by factoring.
So surprised.
What does x squared minus 9 factor into? X minus 3 and x plus 3. So now can you see what I could multiply both sides by to get everything on the bottom to cancel?
Yes. I thought it was 3 negative.
What would I multiply both sides of this equation by to get everything on the bottom to cancel? In other words, what does x minus 3, x plus 3, and x squared plus 9 all go into evenly? I take and multiply both sides of this equation by
9.
x minus 3 times x plus 3. Which you might recognize as being what would be the common denominator of those two things. Okay? If I multiply x minus 3, x plus 3 times x over x minus 3, what cancels?
All of it.
The x minus 3 and the x minus 3 cancel, right? And so that leaves you x plus 3 times x right there. Okay? Now this is a separate term, so I'm multiplying this again separately. Whoa.
Wait, how is it that
How is what?
the x plus 3?
What?
How does... So you're asking me, how does x minus 3 times x plus 3, this stuff right here, times x over x minus 3?
I just want to know how you got that.
Right, so that's what I'm showing you. Times x over x minus 3, this cancels with that.
Yeah.
Why is
And
the
that
other
leaves me
one?
with x plus 3 times x.
Why is the other one
But
canceled?
the x is on top.
I don't understand why it didn't cancel.
Yeah, the x is on top.
Why is the other one canceled?
Hold on, I can only answer one question at a time. Okay,
It
don't do
said
that.
it's x plus 3 times x.
Correct, because if the
Should
x...
it be those x's over x plus 3?
No, because they.
No, because this is on top also. I'm multiplying by x minus 3 times x plus 3 over 1. Those are on top. Okay? Forrest, what?
Why isn't the x plus 3 canceling with the x plus 3?
Yeah, I didn't understand.
Oh, because it's a separate thing I'm distributing. I'm going this times this plus this times this. And I haven't done that second piece yet.
Oh.
So all I've done so far is taken and multiplied x minus 3 times x plus 3 times this fraction right here. The x minus 3's cancel, and that left me an x plus 3 and an x.
So the next one would be plus x minus.
Okay, so now when I continue distributing this and multiply it by x times x plus 3, now when I do that, the x plus 3's cancel, and what am I left with?
X minus 3x.
Right. So this can be plus x minus 3 times x. All
That
right?
makes sense.
So the first time when I multiply these two things times the x over x minus 3, the x minus 3's canceled and left me with an x plus 3 and an x. When I've distributed and multiplied by the second term right here, now the x plus 3's canceled, and that leaves me an x minus 3 and an x. Okay? Now what happens over on this side when I multiply the stuff on the right? Yeah, the whole stinking thing cancels, and so it just equals 2. Okay? So what you're doing there, your very first step, since these fractions are so hateful, is you're multiplying both sides of the equation by the common denominator. Okay? Well, it's way too late for that. This is the last section in the chapter, so that would be a silly thing to do.
This is the last section of the chapter, so there's an S coming out.
Yes.
So
I don't know, maybe Friday, that'd be fun.
Friday. Multiply
Yeah.
it by the
Friday.
common denominator.
Yeah, multiply both sides by the common denominator.
Okay, wait.
Okay?
Wait.
Okay, I'm waiting. Once we have here, we'll do a couple more examples. I know, first time through, you're kind of like, ooh, but you'll get it. Now we just have to solve this equation, okay? And so this is just like every other math equation you solve in your whole life. The first thing you need to do is get rid of parentheses. So x times x is x squared, and 3 times x is 3x. X times x is x squared, and x times negative 3 is minus 3x. And that equals 2. Yep, combined like terms. So the 3x's cancel. That gives me 2x squared equals 2. Divide both sides by 2. X squared equals 1. Be careful. What? Plus or minus 1. Okay? 1 or negative 1. Two different things. All right? So, once you get past that multiplying by the common denominator to get the fractions to cancel, then it's a piece of cake. Okay? All right, let's take a look at another one, since you guys were fairly panicked about that. Yep.
1 or negative 1.
Where is the needle?
Okay, we'll be on lane. Okay?
Stairs.
Okay, so let's try another one. See if we can't start to get the hang of it a little bit. What do I do first? I wait for you to copy down the problem. Sorry.
Where's the knee of the house located at?
The what?
Knee of the house. Where's it
The
located?
knee of the house.
Yeah.
I feel like you could be speaking a completely gibberish
You
language.
shouldn't ask me.
Where is the cat of the window located? The knee of the
You just want to
house.
know for
Yeah, I want to know.
chimney.
Yes.
I don't get it.
The chin.
I have no idea how that all works. No idea. No idea. Okay, what's going on with this?
Plus 2.
We
Okay,
have to factor it.
Kendra is the factoring queen today, so this factors into x plus 2 times x plus 1. Now here is the key step. What am I going to multiply both sides by?
Plus
2.
the
I don't know.
X plus 1 because they each have an x plus 1,
And x plus
and
2.
x plus 2 because they each have an x plus 2.
That always
Uh-huh. And multiply by the common denominator, which is x plus 2 times x plus 1 over here. So everything that the bottom has, I need to multiply it by that so that it'll all cancel.
Wait, why did we choose 2 and 1?
Because that'll get the x plus 1 to cancel, and the x plus 2 to cancel, and the x plus 2 and the x plus 1. Everything will cancel.
The first one is canceled.
Yeah, so the first one here, when I take this term and multiply it by this, the x plus 2 and the x plus 2 cancel, the x plus 1 and the x plus 1 cancel, and so I'm left with x minus 1.
Over 1?
Okay? Over 1 if you wanted to, but I'm not going to because I don't. Okay, now when I multiply this term by these two things, what cancels?
X plus 2.
The x plus 2's cancel, so I'm left with,
X plus 1.
good, 2x times x plus 1 equals, over here what cancels? plus 1's cancel, and I'm left with x minus 1 times x plus 2. So that first step is key, because if you do that correctly, you've taken a really complicated, ugly-looking problem and made it a pretty simple one to solve. Okay?
Where did you get the x minus 1?
The x minus 1 was there to start with. And since it didn't cancel with anything, I had to rewrite it here.
Do you go right left?
Nobody understands.
For the last one, you went for one.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Okay, don't put these together.
Okay, so now we're going to get rid of parentheses. So when I get rid of these parentheses, I have, yep, 2x squared plus 2x. When I get rid of these parentheses, I have x squared.
Minus 2.
What happened to the 1?
I'm going to do the outside so that I get plus 2x. And I have to do the inside, so I have to do negative x. And last times last is minus 2. So a little foiling going on there. Okay, with the 2 by 2, you have to FOIL it. All right, so if I combine like terms, on the left side, 2x squared is all by itself. I can combine this x and that 2x to make 3x, and then minus 1. This stays as x squared, and then 2x minus x is
X
minus 2. Okay? Now what?
Add 1 for both sides.
No.
X squared plus 2.
Yeah, I want to get everything over here on the left-hand side set equal to 0, because this is a quadratic with a lot of different stuff going on.
X squared.
So I can't separate the x's and the numbers in this case. So if I subtract x squared from both sides, that leaves me with x squared. If I subtract x from both sides, that leaves me with 2x. And if I add 2 to both sides, then that leaves me with plus 1 equals 0. Okay? And now we have 3 different ways to solve that quadratic equation. What's one?
We can graph.
Quadratic formula. We can graph and see where it crosses the x-intercepts.
How do I find the little
Or I can factor.
How do I get to
And
my
since
formula
this
thing again?
very easily factors,
Oh yeah, no, we have it on our calculator.
Yeah.
you might have it on your calculator. What does this factor into? Plus 1 and plus 1. Okay? So if x plus 1 times x plus 1 equals 0, then x must equal negative 1.
I'm trying to find it.
Okay?
Hey.
Here is your $1 million question of the day. The actual retail answer to this question is no solution. Why? I can't have a negative answer?
No, a negative 1 can't.
That's not what I'm asking it to. I'm asking this times this to equal 0. And if I plug in negative 1 for x, that does work out. 0 times 0 is 0, so it works for this. Anybody?
Wait, no.
2 plus 2 equals 5.
It's true, it does. Sounds Courtney.
Yeah. I thought you had it. No, that's okay. What do we have to avoid in the very beginning?
I have to come back.
No, it's true. You can't take square root of a negative number, but nobody's asking me to. What else can't I do? There's 2 big rules in math. One is you can't take the square root of a negative number. What's the other big math thing that you cannot do?
Multiply by 20.
You also can't multiply by 20. So since no, that's not it.
I've been living my life by that.
What's it? Yes.
Can't divide by 0.
You cannot divide by 0 is the other big math rule. And if I put in negative 1 into this fraction right here, I would have 0 on the bottom.
Oh,
Okay? And since I cannot do that, then negative 1 is not in the domain of the original problem. Therefore, there is no solution. Yeah, but it should be pretty simple because we already have it factored anyway. So also if we had gotten that x equals negative 2, that also would not work because that would give us a 0 on the bottom as well. Okay? Okay, so yes, you have to be careful with that. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a chance to do some.
Give us like a 3.
Yeah, 3 problems maybe. Yeah, like.
way to